application. This is a database where you've got each and every record as a JSON. So you probably know it from the first year. And in this case, you will have a front end for your user, which is developed in React.js. This is optional for you. Then you've got the server part with the Node.js. This is the backend. You've got a connection between the front end and the backend with Express. And you've got Mongodb, which is in your NoSQL database. And for this one, you will have to manage courses, where every course has a title, of course an ID, which is generated automatically, a description, as well as the status. Then you want your user to have all the CRUD operations, meaning that you want to create a course, so you would do a post. Then you want also to get it, so you've got the same get command. You can update with put, and you can also delete a course. And you can also search based on a search box. So this means that before you were using the relational database management system, this is where you have each and every table, which is linked based on foreign keys. So in this case, you have complex data, you have complex relationships. As you've seen from the previous laboratory, you have to write a lot of joins. Everything is based on schematics, so you can add new tables, meaning that your schema will expand and you will have more relationships. And in this case, when you want to perform operations, you will have a higher cost than compared to NoSQL. This when having a JSON, so you have a simpler data, the density decreases, and you don't have any schema. You can also have it in an unstructured or semi-structured way, so meaning that you also have some IDs of the other records that may exist inside your NoSQL database. So this NoSQL is good when you have events. It's like, let's say you've got an intelligent home, and inside the intelligent home you've got several sensors, and maybe the temperature rises at 40-50 degrees. So this would be an alarm, which is just a JSON which is sent to the system. And also this means that you have a lower overhead because you have just an event and you've got the JSON for it. Then your application consists of your front end in React. You have a router because you will forward as well as you will receive content from your server. Then you have the components. In this case, you have the components for every course. And it means that you will have a service for all the CRUD operations based on the Axios. So Axios is used for the HTTP commands in order to exchange data, while your backend is developed in Node.js, so it's JavaScript, where you've got routes to get data, you've got the controller with the whole logic, as well as you have the object database management, meaning that for every object, of course, you would create it, update it, or even delete it from your MongoDB database. So this Axios, in fact, you have HTTP request. You can have it in an extended format based on XML. This is a format of adding data based on labels. So you will have also these requests based on HTTP. So everything would be a request and a response based on the route which is managed, as well as you can cancel these requests, and all data is transported as a JSON. Let's see more. And these are all, so you have the router to go from one page to another. You have the Express to link this REST along with the MongoDB. Then you have the Mongoose. This Mongoose is when you've got the structure of objects that you want to store inside your database. And this one will be already done for you to do the cast, to validate data, as well as to manage all the objects that you've got inside your MongoDB. Okay, so this means that your application will have several methods. You have get based on courses. So in this case, you get all the courses. You can have get based on ID. So you can search based on the course ID. When you do a post, it means that you want to create a new course, which will have the ID automatically assigned. You can do a put, and this means to update a course based on the ID which is provided, as well as you can delete also based on ID. And when you have the command delete without any ID, it means that you want to delete absolutely everything about courses. And you can also search. So when you want to do a get based on the course title for those who contain DB, so you will write something like here. You have courses, question mark, then you have your filtering criteria based on title and to be equal to the value that you want to search. So when you want to set up the environment, firstly you need Visual Studio Code. So this is the IDE that you will be using. So it's this one. And inside it, you also want to use the Node.js. So this means that you need to install it. And after you have it installed, then you can check the version. So if you go inside CMD, you have it in this way. So you can do a node minus version. And you can see the node version as well as the npm version. This is used to get more libraries that you want to use in your application. And inside your Visual Studio Code, you can go to Terminal. You would click New Terminal, and you get a window like this one. So you would have a folder for your project, meaning that you need to go to the path where you want to store your project with CD, and then you would create a new folder for your application, such that you would use the command mkdir, and you've got everything which is created for you. Then being here, you also want to have the application, this NoSQL app, and you want to initialize your environment. So this means that you run the command npm init, in which you will be asked the package name. By default, it's NoSQL_app. The version by default is 1.00, so you can press enter to remain the same. You can input the description of this project, so it would be NoSQL app. The entry point will be in fact the server.js. And as you can see here, you can run your application using Node and server.js. So this is the scope of this entry point. Then you can add test commands, but these are not mandatory to add. The Git repository, also not mandatory. You can add some keywords based on the technologies which you use, such as Node.js, Express, MongoDB, REST, API, the author, which is you. The license is provided by default, so everything which you did insert here, you save it as a JSON, and it appears here. And then it wants you to double check everything, such that it will create the whole project. So you would receive something like this. In fact, it will generate a package.json file in which you know the information about your project, what it runs, who created, and you've got the keywords. Then you would also like to have the Express facility, as well as you have the Mongoose to have each and every object which is managed inside your MongoDB. You also have the body parser. This is in order to analyze all the JSONs which are exchanged between the client and the server. You have also the course. This is to provide a secure connect, so a secure connection. And you want to store everything. So when you write this inside the terminal, meaning that you write it down over here, you would have something like this, which gets loaded. And at the end, everything is saved inside the node_modules folder. Then you would like to have your main file, meaning that you need to create a new file. When you want to create, you get here the name of your project, and you've got this envelope to create a new file, as well as you can create a new folder. So in this case, you create a new file, which is the server.js, so that the logic of your application, so to open the services, it will rely on this server.js file. So what it means is that the server.js file will import Express, will also import body parser and the course modules in order to use them. Then you want to build the REST APIs. You've also got the body parser in order to analyze every request that you get. So basically inside the request body. And you also want to have a secure connection with course, such that you would have to import everything like here, and the import is done using require. So you do a require express body parser course. Then your application will use express, so you call it, and you've got the origin of course, which is this localhost 8081. So you will use these options. Then you say that you analyze the content, which is of type JSON. So you will have a body parser of JSON. Also, you will have to use this. Everything is encoded, and you can access the route. So you will have a get of slash, meaning that you will have a welcome message. So if I write localhost 8080, you will have this JSON, meaning that you have message and the value of the message, which is exactly the one that you see here. So as you see, it's with slash. So you maintain the local host as it is. And then you can see here that you've got message. So it's the same value which you can visualize here along with the string. And you can use another free port, or if not, the application will run on 8080 if it is available. So as you can see, it runs on 8080. After you did run your application with Node and you've got server.js, so it will even specify which is the port that it uses and that it got connected to the database. Then, this is just to test it with Node, so it's exactly what I did show you. After that, you've seen that you want to have a database. So this means that you will have to go to the Mongodb website and you will download a community server. As you can see, it is 442 based on the platform that you want to use. And when running it, you set it as a service and it will be stored at this folder. They say program files MongoDB server 4.4, such that you can see it here. And from this one, you can start the application by right-clicking on the Mongo file and you run it as an admin. Also, afterwards, you can see that you have the database with MongoDB. It runs on localhost. So in fact, this localhost of 8080, localhost means the IP, which is 127.0.0.1. And this is the port at which it is available, such that you can check the existing databases with the db command. As you can see, it's test. And then you can use another database by writing use, and you've got the name of the database that you want to manage. Such that when you write db, you will see that the program will use a NoSQL app db. And now you want to set a connection to your database, meaning that you will have a new folder, which is config. So for adding a new folder, you go to app, and then you have to click on this logo in order to create a config file, such that you will add a database which you did just create. So this one with MongoDB, localhost 27017, and the name of your database. So as you can see, is this MongoDB, the IP, the port, and the name of your database. Then you also want to have the model. Every course has a model associated. So every instance of your database has a model which is associated, and it will be managed by Mongoose. So in this case, you will have a new folder which is models, and you create an index file such that inside this course.model.js file, so as you can see, this one with course, you will have to specify which is the model for it, meaning that you have a constant which is course, and you say that it's a Mongoose model, you name it, and then you need to specify which are the attributes of such a course, such that you have a title of type string, you have a description of type string, You've got the published value, which is Boolean, as well as you write a timestamp. And then you simply return this record that you want to store. And now inside the index.js, you will say that you have a db config, so you need to be linked to the db config. You are inside the index.js. You want to use the db.config.js file, meaning that you need to exit it. So you have this dot dot, so it's exactly like in Linux. You enter the folder which is config, and then having the entrance here, you just write the db.config.js file. After that, you need to use the Mongoose library, and you would set your database, which is this Mongoose. You provide the URL, it already knows it from here, and you need to specify that for DB courses, it has to use the model which exists in the same folder. This is why you've got a / of the course.model.js, and you need to export it such that also inside the server.js, so as you can see, you go inside this file, you need to specify which are the models of your database, meaning that it has to look inside the app models folder. And then you have the connection with the database using Mongoose. So you have a db.mongoose.connect, you use the db URL, then you have a URL parser, also a topology. So whether everything is okay and you got connected, you will receive a message like this one. So like I have connected to database. If not, it means that you have an error. So you have a typo somewhere. Then you have all your CRUD operations, meaning that you have create, read, update, delete functions. Okay, meaning that the model will already do for you the creation of a new course by calling the object.save model.save method. Then you can find a new course based on an ID, so based on some keywords of the name, meaning that you will have this find by ID. Also, you can have get all courses with just find. You can also update a course. Also, to update, you need to know the ID, and then you have the data which you want to update. You can also delete based on ID. So you would call a method which is named find by ID and remove of ID. You can also delete multiple courses with delete many, and you can also find the course based on a regex, meaning that you have a regular expression to search the course based on the content of the title. So you will have a find of curly braces title where you've got a regex based on this title, and you want to find everything which contains db in this case. And you need to store all these functions inside the controller. So this means that you will have inside the app controller, you've got a course.controller.javascript file for all the operations, namely to create, to find all the courses, to find a specific course, to update a course, to delete a specific course, to delete all courses, or you can also find all courses which were published. So this means that inside the course.controller, this file exists on Moodle, so you can copy paste it from there. Here you have just 7 parts. So let's see. First, you use the model. You set the course to be, in fact, a db.course. And then you want to create a new course. This means that you've got a request and a response. So firstly, you want to check, does my body of the request contain a title? If not, you cannot store a new course without any title. So you would have a 400 error. No, so it will say just that the content cannot be empty. If not, it means that the content is not empty. You create a new instance of course by taking the title from the request.body, the description also taken from request body for which you call description. And now you have the published value. So you need to check, do I have a published value? So with its question mark, if yes, then I take it. If not, I initialize it with false. And then you need to store it inside your database, meaning that you will have the course and then you have .save of the course that you want to store. and you take all data. So as a response, you would send the data which you created. And if not, it means that you have an error, so you have a 500 error, and you also have the content of the error, as well as you need to specify what triggered the error. So you will say that some error occurred when you were wanting to create a new course. Then, if you want to find all the courses, it's again, you have a request and a response. So this means that you would look based on the title, and this is when you want to have a case insensitive filtering. So you would have a course. Based on the course, you do a find according to the condition that you want to get. And you have a response, the data which was triggered. If you've got the error, it's again a 500 error response. And you would have also the error naming that you had it while retrieving courses. Then you can also find the specific course. What it means is to find it based on the ID. So you take this ID from the request. The request has parameters. And then you have a course.find by ID method. You provide this ID from the request. And whether you have data, then you need to check it. If you don't have it, then you have a 404, so a not found error, saying that you didn't find the course with a specific ID. If not, you just send a response based on the data which you triggered. And also you may have an error, so you have a status of 500, and the message will be that you got the error while retrieving the course with a specific ID which you did receive. You can also update. So what it means is that when you want to update, you should have a request of body. So you should have content inside. If you don't have content inside the request.body, then you've got an error. Then you need to get which is the ID of this request. So you get the ID. And then you have a method which is called course.find by ID and update. So you search based on the ID. You need the request of body in order to know what data do I need to change. And then you just send this data. So whether it didn't find it, then it will say that it couldn't update. So maybe the course was not found. If not, then you would send it as well as you would retrieve a message that the course was updated. And in the case when you get an error, again, you have a suggestive message like you got an error when updating the course with a specific ID. You can also delete, and this delete means again that you need to delete based on the ID that you get from your request and from parameters. And you need to call the method find by ID and remove of ID. So you would have the data, and if you don't have it, it means that you don't have the course. If not, then you have to send the message and also confirm that it was deleted. And maybe you get some error such that you would have a 500 error, and you will say that you couldn't delete the course with your specific ID. Also, you want to find all courses and to delete them. So you would have the method which is called delete many. So you delete everything that you find. And if you've got data, then you will also have the deleted of count. So your program will automatically count how many records were deleted, and it will display along with a message like some number of courses were deleted successfully. If you've got an error, again, you need to write the text to know which method triggered the error. Then you can also find all published. All published, it means that you need to find all those courses which have the attribute published to be equal to true. So you have the method course.find, you put the attribute published to be true, and whether you have data, you send it. And if not, again, maybe you have an error which is triggered, so you display this error. Another fact is that you need to set all the routes. So you've got HTTP services which you need to access. So it means that you need to set some routes. So it's exactly like you access this link from course.upb.row. So it should trigger the exactly resource that you want to get. So you will have an HTTP of API of courses. which has to respond to get, post, and delete commands. So when you want to get a course, to create a new course, when you want to delete courses, as well as you can make it related to a specific course with ID. So you can get a specific course based on ID. You can update with put a course based on ID. You can also delete a course based on ID, as well as you can get all courses which were published. So you've got this published at the end. And everything needs to be placed inside course.routes.js. So this means that you have a file like this one where you need to use the controller, and then you would have a router. So it will say whether I have a post of slash, so just the link, it's like here localhost 8080, and then you have the API of course, and I've got slash, then I want to do a course.create when you get a post command. When at the same path you get a get command, it means that you find all courses. You can also get all the courses which were published, so you will have the command of courses that find all published, as well as you can get based on the ID, meaning that you trigger just one specific course. You can also update a content with put, so you have the courses that update, and you can also delete based on ID when you call courses.delete. When you've got the delete of this slash, then it means that you delete everything. And the link that you need to have is this API of courses. And you also need to put this link, this route, inside the server.js, which is exactly before naming the port and before having the app.listen. So in this case, when you want to test the app, it means that you need to install Postman. So you will have something like here. And now based on what you want to store, let's say it's a post, and you want to store a new course. So we can name it calculus, and then you have something like mathematics course. Okay. So you would press on this button, send, and now it will provide you automatically the ID. So as you can see, what you give is title and description. It provides you automatically a unique ID. You've got the title which you wanted, you've got the description which you wanted. You didn't provide any value for publish, so it means that it's false. And then you also have the created at and updated at according to the time when you did run the command. So this is when you already have the core, this server running. Okay, so you need to write node server.js, and then you've got this command. So keep in mind that for this one, you need to provide a method. You need to select a post method. You need to provide the link. Then you also need to provide a body where you need to set all the attributes which you want to initialize. And then you need to press on send. So as you can see, everything is done in just 8 milliseconds. So it's very light. Okay, another command that you can do is to get all the courses that you've got. So it means here that you need to select get, and you've got all the courses which exist. So you've got calculus, you've got new course, you've got another calculus course, but as you can see, you have unique ID. So everything is remembered based on ID. So this is the get command, and you don't need any body for it. So I will display it in this way, and it's exactly a JSON function. So you need to set this one, the get. Then you need to be careful at the link which you want to access. You need to press on send. And now as you can see, you have an array, and you have got each and every record which is separated by comma and all the values as JSONs. So I will paste it here inside the chat to know how to test the surveys. And then let's say that you also want to do another command. So we had post, we can do a put. A put means that you need to modify a specific course. So let's see, maybe I want to modify this calculus course. So I will have a put based on the ID, and you provide another value. So let's say is this description, another programming course, and publish to be true. So when you press it here on send, it will say that the course was updated successfully. The request needs to be put, and so this one is put. You need to provide the ID. Okay, so this is ID. In fact, you need to press. Okay, you need to provide body. So you've got the new content which you want to store for a specific record, and you need to press on send. Okay, so I will also add it such that when you call the previous command, which you've seen with get, so if I go here and I run get again, as you can see, you've got a description and you can change exactly the title, whatever, another programming course. So here you can put whatever, another mathematics course, another maths course, let's say. So when you arrive here, as you can see, it's maths, so this calculus and another maths course. Okay, also what you can get, so I delete. Okay, this is for deleting, but you can get it based on published. So let's see. This is based on get. Where are you? Okay. This is based on all the courses. This is whether you have a specific title. So let's see, it's calculus. So these are the courses which contain cal inside the title. So this is how you can filter it. Okay, so you've got a get command. You need to specify what you search. So in this case, you search for this cal. You need to click on send, and then you've got your array. So as you can see, this is the beginning of the array, the ending, and you separate it based on the comma. Okay, so I will also add this one inside the chat. Okay, then what else you can have is, this is with put, this is with title cal, see, okay, get of published, this is the one. So you can search whether published is true. So this is how you call it. It's a get method. Okay, so it's a get. You need to provide the correct link. So you add this published at the end. You don't need any body. You click on send and you've got those which have published through. Okay. Right, and you can also delete. So you can delete based on an ID. Let's say I want to delete this one. And I can delete a course based on the ID. So it will say that course was deleted successfully. Okay, so this is for deleting it. All right, as well as you can delete multiple records. And this is when you have del of courses. And if I click here, delete, I remain just with 2 instances of courses. And now I have an empty database. So absolutely nothing remained. Okay. So this is what you will have to do for the part of your project. You just select the table and you have this kind of command to access your database and modify the records. So this is just for testing it. And the part with the user interface is optional. So here is the part with React. So this is when you want an interface. Now you want an interface for your user in order to see it like this. You can see all courses, remove all courses, search. You can also add a new course, but this is optional. So when you want something like this, you need to install the React. Okay, so when installing, okay, so this is the one. You will have to create a new folder. So keep in mind that the front end needs to be in another new folder. Let's say it's NoSQL web app. And you need to create your React application using the npm x, and you've got the name of the app that you want to have, this React minus CRUD. And you also have the bootstrap for the part with the CSS. Then you can see that maybe you get an error when you want to run the react.crud. So this means that you need to delete the file, this yarn rc, which is placed at C users, and then you've got the username. So this can appear to you, and when you want to see it, you need to go to that path, you go to view, and you've got the hidden items which need to be turned on such that you are able to delete the file. And then you would receive something like this. You will have your app. As you can see, you have the node modules and you have the application. And inside the application, you will have to say that you use Bootstrap, and then you've got every component of your app, which will be added soon. So in this case, you have a router which is based on the browser router, as you can see. So you need to add each and every part. Now here inside the app, you want to have a navbar, which you've seen before. So inside the navbar, you want to see the courses. Okay, with this one, by calling the courses, you can add a course. So this means that you call a service with add. And this is what you have inside the container. So you would have a path, slash and courses, lead to courses lead, slash add. It means that you have to call the component add course, and courses of ID is linked to the component which is course. Now Axios is responsible for all the links which are called. So basically you have this link with HTTP localhost 8080 API. So for whatever you do inside the front end, you need to link it to this backend which you just created. So as you can see, it's localhost 8080 with API. And everything is exchanged using JSON. So you can see it here, it's application.json. And now you've got services because each and every page will have a service. So when you want to get all, in fact, you get it of courses. So this is what you did here. It's a get of published, this one. As you can see, it's get of courses. So you will call slash courses because it already has the link towards API. Then you would have the get by ID. So as you've seen it, you can add an ID at the end. You can create. So when creating, it means that you need to call a post. When updating based on the ID, you need to call a put based on the course ID. This is the same but bigger. You can also delete based on ID. You can delete everything. And as you can see, you call the command delete. You can also get by title. So it means get, and then you have got this question mark, title equals. So it's exactly what you did see here. Okay, so with courses, title equal, but now you don't have anything because it was deleted. So you would need another post. So let's say it's this one, and I got it here, and I write course. Okay, and as you can see, it got the new course which was added. So these are the methods that you call. Then when adding a new course, it means that you will have for every title, you have a listener. So you've got an on change title, on change description. So you've got a binding. It's exactly like for OOP. Then you have a save course. So it is again a binding based on button. And for new course, again, you do a binding. So whatever button you click, you've got an event. So by default, the state has the ID null. You don't have any title, no description. Published is false, and submitting is false. So now on change title, it means that you need to set the state of the title to be equal to e.target.value. So it's exactly the value which you did insert inside the interface. On change description, it's again, you initialize description with e.target.value for that field. Save course means that you set data to have the title from this.state.title, the description from this.state.description, And inside the course, the data service, when wanting to create new data, so a new course, it means that the ID is taken automatically, so it's based on the response of data ID. Title is taken from the response data title. Description also. You also add published and submit it to be true. So you would display the response, and if not, you would display the error. Then another case is when adding a new course, so everything is null and empty. In this case, when you don't have any content, as well as you want to render. So render is what happens when you click after the button. You will have an event like you submitted successfully a new course, and you've got here each and every field. Like you can see, you've got a text field of title, which is linked on the event on change title. You've got a link for the description, which has an event on change description, and the button, which we'll call the event.save course. And the same is done for this course when you've got on title change, description, to get the course, to update the course, to delete it. So it's exactly in the same manner. You provide a functionality and then you link it based on the display. Text field based on title, you've got on change title, on change description. You've got the status. Again, you need to check it. Whether it's published. Again, on click, you need to update that it was published. So you can do an unpublished, published, so you can simply change the state. Okay. And inside the components, this is to get each and every course. So you would retrieve the course that you need to display inside the interface. So it's again, every button has an event. Okay. And this is how it will look like, as well as you need to allow this course so to have it available in a secure manner. But what you need to do for your project is just as I wrote here. You have a node, you have the backend with the NoSQL database, and you need just to manage one table. So you check it at your own choice, and you use Postman to check it. Okay, so I will dismiss this recording. So thank you for your attention. Okay.